I'm a little tired. I had quite the weekend.
You had an amazing week.
I had an amazing week.
Just a really surprising.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned last week, if not the week before, that I got a text out of the blue from a Canadian band that's on a tour. It's it's a fly date tour. They go out and back.
Yeah.
Along with a bunch of 80s bands that I loved when I was first becoming aware of music.
Couldn't line up better.
I mean, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So they were waiting to see if they got their visas. They got them. I think I said this last week on the podcast, so that the tour is on. So last weekend was the first 2 dates of that tour. Now, I had told them I couldn't do the second date because we had a Petty Nick's Experience gig.
We can get into the whole thing, but you did both.
Yeah, I did both.
Yeah.
So, where to even start with this? So,
your weekend actually started on Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, so I flew out on Thursday.
Right, to Salt Lake City.
Yes. And they came in from Canada, and we met each other in the airport. Mm-hmm. They had no plans whatsoever. They did not have transportation. They did not have hotel. The only plans that we had were a rehearsal space because they knew they wanted to rehearse with me before the show the next day. Right. So I had reached out to my friend Roger Cox, who you worked with too, right?
I do work with Roger, yeah.
So he's a fellow teacher with the International Voice Teachers of Mix. And he lives in Salt Lake City. So I reached out to him for recommendations for rehearsal spaces, and he sent a few. And the one that the band booked is called Space and Faders. Space and Faders. Space and Faders.
And Faders.
Yeah, because they have space, and you can make noise.
And they also have
faders.
Studio stuff. Faders, like the mixy things on the mixing board.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's such a funny name, like Space and Faders.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they're selling. They're selling space and mixing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Space Invaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said the owner was incredibly cool.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so, and this is to show you how cool, I'm backing up to show you how cool the owner is. So we got in to Salt Lake City at, I don't even remember, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, about 2.
And we had the rehearsal space booked for 6. And we had no hotel. We had no car. We're like, okay, we're literally standing in the airport being, okay, what do we do now? Yeah. They're like, maybe we should figure out where to sleep tonight, or should we figure out where the space is first? And I was like, I don't know, you guys, I'm on a ride with you. But anyway, we eventually figured out that we were going to take an Uber to the neighborhood near the rehearsal space and try to find a hotel near there. So we went to the rehearsal space, rang the doorbell just to see if anybody was there. I think it rings through to the owner's phone.
I don't even know any of this part of the story. This is new for me too. Keep going.
All right. So
you're just ringing the doorbell.
Well, yeah,
hoping...
like the place isn't even open yet because no one was going to be there Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they didn't have any bookings, apparently, and we weren't supposed to be there till 6. So anyway, we ring it. It rings through to the owner, and he's like, I'm sorry, I'm not there right now. You guys aren't booked till 6. I can turn around and come right back. But it just turns out that he had just left for a moment, actually.
Oh, okay.
He had just left for a moment. He got back 5 minutes later, let us in, showed us around, gave us a tour. The place is enormous. It is so big. There's 15 rehearsal rooms, which is not even the half of it. Yeah. There's a front lobby area with some couches, and there's this deep TV, like the old style.
With the big back.
With the big back.
Yeah.
But it's there's like a multi-layered diorama in it, and it's got these colors that change. It looks like Meow Wolf.
Wow.
It's super cool. I wanted to get inside the TV. I think I took a video of it. I should show it to you.
Okay. Yeah.
There's memorabilia everywhere. I mean, mostly posters, but the walls are chock full all the way up and down with memorabilia. And he says everything we'd point out, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, those are really cool guys. I worked with them." He's worked with everybody.
I'm sure.
Everybody, because he also has a production company, and he's been doing it for 30 years.
Right, to run live sound. Yeah. And, all that stuff.
So I saw a poster that included Murder by Death.
Yeah,
I
right.
sent that
You
picture
sent
to
me.
you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Our friend Tyler is
Yeah.
in Murder by Death.
And, some other bands from Colorado that have made it out of the state and, and then big bands. I mean, Led Zeppelin and like
Yeah.
big ones.
I'm sure that it's much like Doghouse, where bands need to rehearse sometimes even when they're on the road.
Right.
And facilities like that get used, and then doubly he's running live sound. He's probably run sound for all kinds of people. And who knows? Yeah, but it sounded like an incredible facility.
Yeah. So there's the rehearsal rooms, there's the cool hallways. There's a white room where he has
for filming.
Yeah, for filming, and it can be any color you want because he's got LED lights in the ceiling that you can just like click a button and make it any color you want. He can make it a combination of colors. He's got an enormous like drum clinic room where you can put 11 drum kits. And I saw a post from him yesterday on Instagram. Apparently they put on drum jams for free every month just to connect the drum community in Salt Lake City.
Wow.
Like they have this huge space. They fill it with drum kits.
Yeah.
And people come to network and play drums. And they have a recording console, like one that's like this big, that they got from, gosh, I was like not in the room. I kind of overheard it. It's some famous console that he like drove over to Las Vegas to get and drove it back in the van, and the van didn't close. They like had the back doors of the van open the whole time because the thing was like an entire room.
Some of those
length.
are like 8 feet.
Yeah.
10 feet, 20. Yeah, they're big.
And he's working on, I mean, there's a podcast room, there's a TV room, he's serving all kinds of creative producers with this thing. So.
I mean, thank goodness for people like that who are providing space for people to make art. We've talked about, you know.
But not only that, he, gave us a ride to our hotel, when we eventually picked one. Gave us a ride to the venue, took us out to his wife's restaurant and fed us a free meal. Did a beer run for us after the show because there was no beer in this venue. I mean, just smooth things over the entire time. Just was like checking on us, making sure we had what we need. He made it feel like the biggest rock star experience I've ever had. Just that amount of care. Anyway, his name is Charles Thorpe.
There are those people in the world who are just
good.
Making things better for people. Yeah. So, and by the way, I got to mention, like, that is so flying by the seat of your pants. Like, that would have worked 20 years ago. Like, I traveled like that sometimes 20 years ago where you would just go, like, I'll just go to the closest. I had a Super 8 membership. That's how fancy I was. I was a Super 8 Diamond member or whatever.
Gosh.
So you just go, and like there would always be vacancies. You didn't need to plan ahead.
Yeah.
You would just go, and they would have a hotel room. And these days it is not like that. Their places are full, and there's just less of everything.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah, it really can.
Fortunately for us, the rehearsal space was in a not so nice part of town, so the hotels were not full. Of
course it was. Yeah.
So we rehearsed. It went great. They loved me. I love them. And then we went looking for food, and there was none to be found except at a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, right. You said you had the 7-Eleven tour experience.
Yes. Eating dinner on the curb outside the 7-Eleven.
And I was sharing with you, by the time I started touring with No Address in my later mid to late 20s, I had done enough small runs and like weekends and stuff where you were eating out of 7-Elevens the entire time, like literally like sitting on the curb of the 7-Eleven, like. And by the time No Address really started going out, I was like, we are not eating out of 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while you get stuck like you did where there's just nothing else.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, there were restaurants within a 15-minute walk.
Right,
but they were all
but you don't always have 15 minutes.
No, they were all closed.
Oh, yeah.
There was nothing within miles of us. There was nothing walkable.
That can happen, yeah.
So anyway, but it was really fun to hang out with them. I mean, like, I didn't mind it at all. Like, it was just, we were getting to know each other.
It sounded
and, they're really cool people. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounded like amazing guys.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Thursday night. Stayed in a hotel. I got my own room, and the three of them had to pile into one room themselves. So
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
And then Friday was the day of the show.
Yes. So it was at Sandy Amphitheater, which is a gorgeous venue.
Man, was that an amazing... I mean, not quite Red Rocks, but it was very definitely like built into the surrounding... from the pictures you sent.
Yeah. It was pretty steep and lots of seats going up, and then grass going up above that.
Oh, nice.
It was beautiful. I mean, you can see... Salt Lake City is beautiful. There's
Salt Lake City is
all
beautiful.
The way around,
It's gorgeous.
You know?
Yeah. Aren't the people... Did you find the people, like... almost creepily nice? Because every time I've been there, I've been like, they are so nice, but after a little while, you're like, all right, tone it down, Salt Lake.
I mean, I guess Thorpe was super nice, but it didn't seem creepy.
No, I just meant even like people on the street and stuff will be like oddly polite.
No.
Okay.
I guess we didn't really run into that many people on the street.
Maybe it's different.
There was nobody on the street.
I haven't been there in like 10 years, but you're just like... Eventually, you're like, all right.
I guess I didn't have that many interactions with people.
Yeah. Well.
But, you know...
So the day of the show, to get back to that, you guys woke up at the hotel. What did you do all day till the show?
We walked down to a donut shop that we had seen that was about a quarter mile away.
Okay.
There was a line down the block.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah. And I sent you that picture of the sandwich menu.
Oh, that's where that was.
That was the donut shop. So we got donuts and then sandwiches for later, or I ate it. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning by this point. Yeah. And the prices of the sandwiches were like half what they are in Denver.
I mean, they were like 90s prices.
Yeah, it was like $5 or $6 for a sandwich.
Yeah.
At this bakery.
Yeah, like a sub sandwich.
I was like, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, we had... we had donuts, and the guitarist was texting with his friend, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's my friend so-and-so. He plays guitar for Prodigy. And I'm like, what? For Prodigy? Okay, cool. All right, then. Be cool.
Yeah.
This whole time, I mean, like, I'm not super starstruck because I didn't know this band. I knew all the other bands on the bill. I'd heard of them. I didn't know this band. I kind of vaguely recognized their hit. I was excited about the opportunity, but I know... from living with you and like knowing your story, like this band in particular is one that like had a huge hit in 1989, toured the world for 2 years. They were rock stars then, and now they're normal people living normal lives who just get to go on a big tour once in a while.
Yeah.
So like they're normal people. So I wasn't being super weird.
Yeah.
But once in a while they'd mention like some friend of theirs who was like, you know, related to some
other huge band. Well, and you met
but,
people from Wang Chung and
Emotion, Naked Eyes. I didn't meet the Naked Eyes guy.
Oh, okay.
No, he kept to himself.
Yeah, but you were on the way to the airport. You were playing the hits of these people, and they were like,
the big hits.
It was like big hits of the 80s.
Yeah.
Like it was like legitimately like all this.
Always something there to remind me.
Yeah, there's that one.
And you are an obsession. You're my obsession. The creepy song, Who Do You Want Me to Be to Make You Sleep With Me?
Walking in L.A. by Missing Persons.
Oh, yeah. Walking in L.A.
No one walks in L.A. Yeah, kind of an amazing thing. So you guys just hung out all day?
Well, we got the donuts, and, I mean, we had to be at the venue. We left for the venue at like
pretty
2.
early.
So, the day flew by. We basically just went to the venue and did sound check and played a 15-minute set, which is what they're there to play. So,
and which, by the way, I think is such a brilliant thing that they're doing on this tour. Like, if I was going to go see a nostalgia-based tour, meaning nothing negative by that, just like if you're going to go see a tour that's put together about a certain time, I would so much rather see 5 or 10 acts for a short amount of time.
Right, all doing their biggest hits.
Doing their biggest hits, rather than see like 2 or 3 bands from whenever doing an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know, that would be so much more exciting to like see all those acts. It's really brilliant, marketing-wise, that is brilliant.
And, you know, a community apparently has grown up around this. I guess they have something like an 85% audience repeat rate.
That's
like,
insane.
Then they have like a Facebook group where they all like, they get together outside of these concerts. Like, this is a whole world unto itself.
Oh my gosh.
And so the audience was hot to trot as soon as we got on stage.
Wow.
They were there to party. They all knew each other. I mean, not all of them, but I mean, there was just a great energy in the crowd just to begin with.
And you said the set went great. You showed me a video of it. It was
yeah,
it
went great. I mean, it's a short set, but I put a lot of time into getting it right because, you know how things always feel different on stage. I didn't know what the monitoring would be like. I didn't know.
Right.
And I just wanted to get it right the first time and not have to think. And so, I mean, I made I missed one little gang vocal that I was supposed to join in on by a word or two. But I mean, that's like the biggest mistake I made. So it was great. Had a fun time jumping around. And then it was like this compressed, intense time.
That's what we were talking about on After I Picked You Up. How it, in some of Noah Dress's time was doing, I think at one point we were doing like a 25 in front of a big slate of tour, and it was so much fun to just go out and just murder for 25 minutes. When if it's even 45, you got places where you have to put natural, like, relaxed points. You can't just drive for 45 minutes, but for a shorter amount of time you can just go out and just I'm gonna put 2 hours worth of energy into 15 minutes, and there's a way in which that is really fun.
It was really fun. It was that peak experience. That intensity of like complete focus. And fun.
And then you said you guys went out after the set and talked to people and met people. There were a lot of autographs to sign. So many people wanted photos and autographs, and so many people came up saying, I had this hit of yours on a mixtape, or like, I mean, it was all mixtape. I mean, because like this was back during the era of cassette tapes, right?
And so people just had these connections, and they were thrilled to meet us. I mean, Kevin had announced from stage that it was my first show with them, so I mean, it was no secret that like I'm not really in the band. But people wanted my autograph anyway.
You weren't originally part of it, but people still. But you were up there, man. You were with this band they liked. It was almost like being like. It was like me getting to join a tour with Aerosmith and CCR and BB King. Like all the people that like I thought were like,
I know.
Like right when you're discovering music, and that stuff sticks with you in a different way.
It is. It's like it's in like my brain stem or something. It's so deep in there.
It's so deep in there.
All right, so that was the first show.
And
we hung out and we watched the rest of the concert. And then figured out how to get back to the hotel. Then in the morning we figured out how to get to the airport.
And I picked you up, and those guys
Denver.
went to their hotel down by Fiddler's Green, which is a huge venue in Denver. I mean, this venue has, like, this is where, like, when ZZ Top comes to town, they play Fiddler's Green.
I saw The Cure at Fiddler's Green when I first moved to Denver.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so
it's a real venue.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was not planning on playing this show because they were on at 6 to 6:15, and Petty Nick's the Petty Nick's Experience was on at 6:30.
Right.
20 minutes away.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's so close.
This is such a good story.
So on Friday night after the first show, they were like,
they wanted you to...
Is there any way? Is there any way you can play tomorrow night? Because I'd gotten Morgan to handle it for me. And she'd practiced. And anyway, they were like, it's just, we don't want to, like, we want the consistency. It's only going to get better every show we do together. Right. We don't want another person. You fit perfectly. And I was like, okay, I'll ask my band leader. I'll just ask. I mean, we'd already talked about it and just figured out, like, logistics don't work.
Yeah. It was what, 10, 15 minutes away from?
It was 20 minutes away.
The two gigs were 20 minutes away. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Vic said, we'll make it work. Do it. And Vic, oh my gosh. So I went to sound check with the Petty Nick's Experience. We sound checked. We didn't get started.
Forever.
Oh my God, it was the slowest sound check. I'm like, I need to call an Uber. So I sound checked first. So I got off stage at 5:20
Right.
5:20 from sound
You're
check.
on at 6 o'clock.
I'm on at 6, 20 minutes away.
At Fiddler's Green, which is like a 15,000 capacity,
Yeah.
maybe 10, whatever it is.
I mean, the guys were texting me like, so how close are you? I'm like, haven't started sound check yet. Don't know. So anyway, 5:20, catch an Uber. No, I guess I got off stage at 5:15. Caught the Uber at like 5:20, 5:25.
Yeah.
She drove me as close as she could get because security wouldn't let the car through. So I was like, just drop me here. I know the gate's right down that road. I know where it is.
the back gate you're
it was
talking
that same
about.
gate
There's that
we've been
fence.
in.
Yeah.
And so I walked up to security. I was like, I'm in the band, the first band that's playing. Seriously. And she's like, do you have any credentials? And I was like, no. And she's like, can't I let you through? And I was like, it's just right down there. It's that gate right there. I know. And she's like, without credentials, I can't let you through. And she said, can you just call somebody and have them call it in? And I was like, okay. So I called Kevin and I was like, you need to call it in. And he's like, I'm waving at you down. He's like down the block. He's like, I'm waving. Put me on speakerphone. So I put the phone on speakerphone.
Yeah, because where they have the security thing, and then it's like...
It's at the intersection.
Yeah, and then there's like a half a block down.
Yeah.
There's the gate in the fence, the big wooden fence, yeah.
So he's standing outside waving. I've got the phone on speakerphone. He's like, turn around, it's me. I'm waving in the white shirt. And the security lady's like, okay, that's good enough. You can go. He's like, she's on in 10 minutes. I need her here right now. So...
And you know... And the listeners know I've been in similar situations, like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the Orlando.
And I had already put on my 6-inch... Oh, that's the other thing. I forgot my costume. I forgot my clothes for the...
Because you don't normally
Fiddler's Green
dress
gig.
for 2 gigs. You did your gig
I know.
checklist, but you don't normally...
Yeah, I left a bag by the front door.
Yeah.
And so I left what I was going to wear at Fiddler's Green for that show at home. And so we got there, and I was like, well, I've got jeans on. I guess those are going to have to do. And I threw on a pair of the Stevie Nicks go-go boots, so at least I looked like I was
Yeah, and
elevated.
You had a
You know?
cutish tank top.
Yeah, I had a
on.
black tank top
Yeah.
on. And I tied your tie around my wrist.
Right.
Just for some color. And I had like a black gauntlet style bracelet on, so that kind of looked cool over there. So that was it. I was like, that's gonna have to do. Whatever. So I was wearing the 6-inch heel go-go boots, trying to like run down the half a block. I mean, you cannot run in those things.
Yeah.
I'm like the most awkward thing. Oh, the third song that we do. Is it the third song? One of the songs that this band does has a sample of that Nancy Sinatra song. The boots are made for walking. Boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. And one of these days, these boots are gonna walk. So I'm getting close to Kevin. I'm like, these boots are not made for walking, because I'm so awkwardly like, wow. I've got this bag of my Stevie Nicks clothes with me because I'm gonna be changing.
Funny.
Okay, so I get there 10 minutes before showtime, and they're like, thank God.
So you didn't sound check at all for that gig?
No. I was like, I'll deal with whatever I get.
Yeah.
Fine. I know how it goes at this point, so.
Yeah.
And it was great. The sound was great.
Yeah.
So we went on. We did the show. He was really nice. He introduced me as, a very special guest, Adrienne Osborne from right here in Denver.
Oh, that's so cool.
Everybody cheered. It was really fun. And so we did thank you, Denver, bye. And I like walk off. And as soon as I'm out of sight, I'm like, like running awkwardly to the dressing room in these huge heels, rip them off, put on some shoes I can actually run in. And I'm like, bye guys, I'll see you next weekend. And I like ran out the door. And Vic had arranged for a policeman to drive me back to the Petty Nicks gig.
Yeah.
Which we did because the whole neighborhood fills up with cars and I wouldn't have been able to park close by.
No, not at all.
So I call this policeman. I had to run out to the intersection again. He picked me up. He's super nice.
Yeah.
So I climb in and I'm like, I'm gonna climb in the back because I'm gonna be changing clothes as we drive. And he's like, well, I've got car seats in the back. And I was like, there's a little room between the two of them. That's all right. So I like climb in between two children's car seats, and I changed head to toe. I mean, I changed my top, I changed my bottoms, I changed my shoes. And I put my wig on, jewelry and everything. And then then I crawled back up to the front seat, like 6-inch heels on. I'm like in a skirt. I'm crawling back up into the front of the seat to just be a passenger again. And Vic called about 5 minutes after the gig was going to start. You guys had pushed it a little bit.
We pushed it a little bit, yeah.
And I was like, we're there in 4 minutes, 3 minutes, like almost there. And so
Yeah.
you guys held it for another 3-4 minutes.
Right.
I arrived, I walked through the crowd, and we went on stage, and I was there for the first song.
Yeah. Which the plan had been that we were going to just start.
Yeah.
And then bring you up whenever you showed up. But luckily you made it for the first song. And we didn't push it much, 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was 10 at the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was a crazy gig.
It was so good.
It's amazing. I was going to bring it up in the end, but the amount of people you played for just this weekend, between Salt Lake City, Fiddler's Green, and then dashing over to that Littleton. They have a concert series in a park. A lot of those like towns have these summer concert series. Mm-hmm. And this one was apparently the most well-attended that they'd seen.
That park was full.
It might have been 2,000 people.
Yeah.
It was definitely, I would say, 1,500. Mm-hmm. And that was actually one of the reasons that it got pushed is we all needed to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. The line for the bathrooms was like 40 people long.
Right. And, like, we needed to, like, and we're, like, literally, like, they've got, like, the stage, one of those mobile trailer stages. And it's just set up facing this huge green space area. It kind of goes up like a hill, like an amphitheater, but behind that there's like a playground and like all this stuff. So like there's no backstage whatsoever,
right.
And we're all just changing behind this stage. Like, what are you gonna do?
I know.
And then like, but you know, we have to hit the bathroom before we go on, and there was just like no way up at the top of the hill, maybe 3 football fields away. They had they had like 6 or something porta potties, and then there were just the normal park bathrooms. And like you said, there were just like 40, and we were just like, dude, we gotta like, we have no option here. Like it's gonna take us a couple minutes to, you know.
So that's part of the
that's
reason
part of why it pushed it back. But the show was great. The crowd was great.
Yeah. Speaking of no place to change, do you know where I changed between sets?
No.
So this was like, yeah. So I changed. I changed
my costume changes.
Yeah, and just based on the chaos of this night, I needed to change my full top, like take my bra off and put a different bra on.
Yeah.
And I needed to change my skirt, and I have a like some boy shorts that I wear under each skirt. Yeah. So like when I'm twirling, I'm not like.
Yeah.
And so under the black skirt, I wear black boy shorts, and then I change during the set, and I put white ones on under the white skirt.
Because you have the white skirt, yeah.
Yeah. So I had to literally change my whole outfit. Like and that wasn't a thing I could do just like, you know, kind of behind the corner of something or like.
Did you crawl under the stage?
I crawled under the stage.
That's so funny.
I came out and Vic was like, "Oh, you did it under there." I mean, it was like tall enough for me to sit upright in.
Yeah.
But I had to sit on the ground.
Yeah.
So I'm like waddling off my underwear, like down to the feet. Okay, underwear back on. Waddle.
And of course, the stage has like a skirt around it. You know, like.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
It didn't?
No.
They didn't even put up the skirt.
Not in the back.
Oh, well, not in the back, no.
I just figured that nobody would be looking there.
Well, and you were right. and it was dark enough that, like...
It was twilight.
Yeah, it was dark.
Yeah.
But still, I'm sorry to ruin your reveal, but I was, like, thinking in my head, like, where could it would have had to been under the stage. That was the
Either that or, like, behind a tree, like, off in the distance or something. I mean, but, like, there were people everywhere.
There were people everywhere. There was nowhere to not be seen by people.
So it was hilarious. So in the span of 1 hour, I went from, like, one of the biggest venues in Denver, where every band had their own dressing room.
Yeah, right.
Huge backstage.
Massive.
To crawling under the stage to change clothes.
That's show business, folks. That is.
You just roll with it.
You get what you get. Yeah, that is so funny, man. That was, yeah.
But it was great.
It was great. Yeah, huge crowd. Everybody was.
I had new things that came out of my mouth for song intros.
You were-
I don't even remember what I said. I hope I do remember because I had some good stuff.
Yeah, it must have been the adrenaline, but I said to you on the set break, I was like, man, you are on one tonight. Like, you were just...
And I wasn't even trying.
You
I
were-
was still
you were-
distracted.
you
You know,
were just flowing.
I hadn't even processed the energy of the previous gig.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't remember
carried over.
in particular what you said. I know all of it was fine, and it never got drifty or...
No, I felt like my banter was very focused. It sounded like it had been very worked out and was very fluid.
And you know what? It sounds antithetical to being fluid, but you were doing a great job of talking really choppy.
Right, little
It's
phrase.
like I've described
Little phrase.
before. It's those pauses that make it possible for the crowd, especially when it's a big, huge crowd. You've got, you got to wait till the people in the back hear it and process it before you move on to the next idea.
Right.
Otherwise, everybody just gets lost.
Right.
Which was hilarious because I think it was it you? I think it was Julian.
It was Julian.
Who was saying something about, hey, can you hear us way there in the back? And you'd see everybody in the back stand up and like, woo, and they're waving their arms and stuff, and we could not hear them.
That's how far away they were.
We were far enough away that like we could see them stand up and wave their arms, but we couldn't hear them yelling. It was a real blast.
Yeah.
Good show. The banter was great.
Yeah. And then to top off this weekend...
Oh my gosh, yeah, you're a maniac, by the way. Go on.
I don't know what you think I'm about to say.
I was going to talk about the fact that you did those 2 shows and then woke up first thing in the morning and went for an 11-mile hike.
Yeah.
I
couldn't take the band to the airport because I had plans to go hike in the Rocky Mountains, which I
Yeah.
did. So, but no, I was going to say what capped off this weekend was you got me a little congratulation gift.
I did.
So touched. Got me a synth bass pedal. Because I'd been saying I couldn't get the right synth bass sound out of the Helix.
Yeah.
And I mean, we haven't tried looking at for pre.
That's where I ran into that thing. Was I was looking at how to get synth bass, and it's just a pedal that does synth bass stuff. So you have to see if you like
I'm gonna
it.
try it right after we record this. I haven't had time.
You have not had time.
Oh.
Although I got to tell you, as being a guy like me, being able to buy your gal pal guitar pedals is pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Your gal pal.
Yeah.
Let's keep some proper distance here.
Yeah. No, I don't want to. Guys, get in touch. Not hard to find online. Why I said gal pal, it was on my mind, was you also on the plane
Oh my gosh!
met Bingo.
Yes, okay. So this whole weekend, I've been being super chill, like not flipping out when I met people who
Yeah.
I'd known of for 30 years,
Right.
40 years. 40 years. Some
When
of these
you were a
bands,
little
some of these
kid,
bands' hits
literal
are
kid.
40 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'm all like hanging out in the dressing room, like, hi, I know your name already. What's your name? I'm just being
Yeah.
cool. Like, I'm the newbie on the block. I don't want to, like, make
Yep.
a big deal. I'm just here to do my job. And, but then the drummer, Anthony, sat next to a woman wearing head to toe orange and green neon. Mm-hmm. And he struck up a conversation, as he does. And we were, we were waiting for the train that takes us to, between terminals to the baggage claim. And they were still talking. And then it got to the conversation of she's like, do you guys follow comedy at all? And I was like, well, I kind of do. And she's like, you know Doug Stanhope? And I was like, yes. And she said, I'm Doug Stanhope's wife. And I was like, she said, I'm Bingo. I'm like, oh my God, can I get a photo? Can I get a photo?
Yeah.
And the Concan guys were like, oh, now we see who's really famous.
Yeah, now we see
who you're really excited to be around. I was like, dude, this took me by surprise.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I knew I was holding it in like all weekend.
Yeah,
Like, this was out of the blue. Like, Doug Stanhope's wife. Oh my God.
Yeah. Who
So-
Doug Stanhope is
That's like our favorite comedian.
definitely my 100% favorite comedian, and we saw him at the Oriental just a couple of years ago. And Bingo, of course, is a big character because she tours with them too, and does merch and stuff, and a lot of his act is about his life, so
Right.
a lot of it's in there. Mom warning, don't go check out Doug Stanhope. You will not like it. Moms, it's not for moms. I love
good
him.
warning. Yeah.
I love him. You will not like it at all. You'll hate it.
Now you've made them very curious.
We just differ in that way. I promise you'll regret checking it
There's
out.
definitely cussing.
That's
That's the least of it.
the least of it. Pretty dark stuff. Yeah. Anyway, what an amazing weekend for you.
Yes. And gonna do it again next weekend. Well, just one show.
Just one show. Yeah.
In Dallas. And then the next weekend will be in San Diego.
Yeah. And maybe you'll get a chance to play with your synth bass pedal.
Yes.
Who knows?
I need to make time for it.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy right now.
Busy times. Well, let's go ahead and close this one off.
All right.
We are, as always, sponsored by Performance High.
Voice and Music Studio. And Space and Faders, Salt Lake City.
Space and Faders, Salt Lake City. I wouldn't say you have to move your band to Salt Lake City, but I would recommend it.
Yeah, and when you do, also make sure to eat at Eggs in the City.
Eggs in the City.
Eggs in the City. They're good at names, that couple.
They are good at Eggs in the City.
Yeah.
That's, wow. Okay. Eggs in the City, Space and Faders, Performance High Voice and Music Studio. Thank you, as always.
Yes, thank you for listening and watching.
Less the watching, but thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.